Bd8 Toro the Decoder Story and Guidance. The Magical Council 8 out of 32. Toro the Decoder, the guiding force of translating messages. The guiding force of translating messages. Decipher the symbolic meaning of messages. Quote, "There are no mistakes, no coincidences. All events are blessings given to us to learn from." Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. End of quote. Toro's story. I am Toro the Decoder, and as a crystal child of light, I received long time ago in the history of Crystallia the task of assisting anywhere and anyone in decoding any messages, giving the symbolic meaning of them. I got the function together with Niyama, the guiding force of maturity and nature, as a travel agent in the field of health and healing. I am residing in a sanctuary on the planet Quippleton, which is located in the Miron galaxy, and I travel through the shadow world on my giant eagle. I grew up near the capital of Quippleton, called Claudius, later called the City of the Cripples. Several times a week I traveled with my father from a small farm outside the city to the market square where we sold flowers, plants and herbs. I found myself always observing individuals and wondering how their life was and how healthy or sick they were. I discovered that I had the ability, which I later called body and disease reading and presently call symbolic decoding. I could see on their body form, posture, body language and face expression how they were doing. Most of the time I saw the same people coming to buy or sell on the market square, but as time passed and the city became international, more and more foreigners came. Body shapes and forms. The individuals I saw regularly, I gave all nicknames expressing their condition, such as Desra Desert, a lady being completely dehydrated and stiff. Brickman, a man being very square and always using tough language. Numberman, another man also square, but it was as if he had numbers in his eyes. He was very calculated and money controlling. Hanra Hamster was overweight, just like Miss Waistbands and Big Flabby. Then there was Flapfoot, who had flat feet, and Flapfoot, who flapped with one foot, and then there was the wrestler, who held his chest in, his arms rounded forward, similar to the clinger, and the puncher, holding his fists, and always ready to fight. Miss Tippy-Toe was fun to look at, and Hunchy, who was very obviously carrying the weight on his shoulders. Miss Bottle, who had a body that looked like a bottle and was bottled up inside. Mr. Duck, with his feet outward and wiggling all over the place. And not to forget Toma Tomorrow, with his nose and neck forward, and Noza, also with her nose forward and always sticking her nose in other people's business. The younger crowd was also fun to watch. Curtain Face, hiding his face behind his hairs. Fire Eyes, who had eyes that could kill. Hang Pants, having his pants hanging half on his buttocks, expressing that he didn't give a darn and was a procrastinator. Scratch was always scratching himself and was very nervous. And Fingerbite was a girl nervous and insecure and biting her fingernails. Then there were the loud guys, always making noise and talking loud, drawing attention. The dolls, girls that almost looked and dressed identical but still wanted to stand out as an individual. And not to forget the dirty rats, not properly dressed, unclean and always trying to do something against the law and getting in trouble. The hangers were those hanging out in groups on the street corners of specific places and basically doing nothing with their life. The body is an open book showing our history and our life because it came with the birth to tell us our strengths and challenges. And then it formed itself through everything we went through, and thus manifesting new strengths and challenges. Bodies form themselves according to our inheritance in connection with all the foods we eat, all the thoughts, emotions, and the things we do. I had a nickname for everybody, but that what had been funny slowly turned into a deep sadness. It happened after a vacation trip to several cities on my planet. My dad wanted to expand his business in regards to the healing assisting potions he and mom were making, and which helped a lot of people with different ailments. Learning about the symbolic meaning of every detail of the body. Visiting Agnonium, a big city in the south, I started to understand that every part of the body, inside and outside, had a story to tell. Each detail had a symbolic meaning. This knowledge was shared with me by a traveling nun who helped people who were sick through her faith and positive thinking. She called it a long-forgotten language that was not spoken anymore. Maybe a lot of ancient knowledge disappears when man moves away from nature and starts to live the modern way. This language was for me not difficult to learn as it was so simple, and I think when you hear it that it makes sense to you too. The symbolic meaning of the face is how we face life. The symbolic meaning of the ears is how and to what we listen to. The symbolic meaning of the eyes is how we look at life. The symbolic meaning of the hands is how we handle life. The symbolic meaning of the lungs is how we in and exhale our experiences. The symbolic meaning of the stomach is how we digest life. The symbolic meaning of the skin is how we feel in our own skin. The symbolic meaning of the spine is our physical foundation and making it possible to stand upright, to turn and bend with life. The symbolic meaning of the legs is how we stand and walk in life. And the symbolic meaning of the rectum is how we eliminate and let go of the old. I realized that all the people I had given nicknames has formed their body according to their life story. And when I looked around after this new knowledge, I saw people reflecting their pains and trouble on and inside their body. I could understand why teenagers had skin problems, as they were trying to break out and break away from their parents. I understood why children had earaches, because they closed their energy off as they were unable to hear all the confusion around them. Why children had problems with their throat was because they were not allowed to speak or didn't know how to speak. I realized that when the stomach threw all the foods out, that there was something too much to be digested. Individuals not able to go to the bathroom had issues with holding on and controlling, and when diarrhea showed up, them feeling that any control was running away from them. It was all so clear, but it made me sad. And the sadness grew when I visited the city of the broken hearts. Learning to decode diseases. The first time I visited the city of the broken hearts, it almost broke my heart, as I saw all the messages regarding the pain in the hearts of the citizens. All those had issues dealing with the heart lived together in one big city. It was #1 main cause of death on our planet at that time in history. And just for you to know, there are similarities on your planet and the Earth. Many people lived very hard lives, took things too hard, at heart, and were very hard on themselves, others and the world, and without realizing, attacking their heart. It was drilled into their brains from childhood on to be tough and not to show emotions or tears, and to keep things inside. Real affection was rare, as everybody was trying to bypass their heart. Most relationships were based on love, but which turned into hate, probably due to the fact that nobody was explained that life in Crystallia, the creation, was an experience of both sides of the heart, the likes and dislikes. Everybody lived in a fairy tale-like dream and believed that relationships only needed to be love, smiling faces and sunshiny days. This also was enhanced through all the fairy tales in which two people found perfect love. But most stories were stories that talked about us as crystal children of light, souls and drops of the eternal ocean, in which we all go back one day, and to find that everlasting love, and to be with Kandu. The stories were all about the love for Kandu, the creator, and us as individuals falling in love with him, which is love forever. It was about us as drops of the ocean merging back into that ocean of love. It was about the love of soul for its creator, an eternal relationship. Worldly love is differently, as it takes place in the world which is created with opposites. And to understand one side, we must experience the other side. Many stories are actually no children's stories, but nobody explains us the secret messages. And it is the same with the duality experience of love and trust. Nobody gets explained to keep one's heart open for the duality experience, and that trust means trusting that the two opposite sides of life are within everything and everybody. You love your new toy, but when it gets damaged, you could get easily dislike the toy or dislike the situation or even hate it. Loving the things of this world is realizing that there are two sides in everybody and everything, in your toys, learning, your parents, friends, and anything for that fact. So when you accept this fact, you can trust that both sides in your life will show up, and your trust will never be broken again. I saw, however, so many people with the heart closed off and caged in, and I hope it is clear to you why people get heart problems. And I haven't even talked about the stressful lifestyles people lead, running out of air, and the consumption of wrong foods that contribute as well to heart disease. Although I do not think in terms of disease but in messages, I later saw so much resemblance with many people on your planet, where heart attacks or other heart diseases came to wake up the individuals as well. Messages are wake-up calls, explaining us to do things differently. Complaint City. In Lamenter, which I called Complaint City, nobody was content with their life. Everybody was racing to fill up an emptiness of their unfulfilled lives. Everything was about the richness of the modern world. It was crazy to see what the people did and ate. Nothing was in balance. Everything was abnormal, although they thought that their life was normal, as they didn't know better. The citizens in Lamenter, which was a flourishing city, all had a home, some money to buy food and clothing and a horse. Most of them were not too bad off, but because of this distorted and abnormal life and on top of it, they all kept complaining. It was not strange for me when I heard that a disease called cancer was spreading like wildfire. Cancer is a phenomenon where cells behave abnormal. Is not that what I just said? And on your planet the same is taking place? When I visited the planet Earth, I saw how abnormal things had become compared to the time when you were living more in harmony with nature. In the Dutch language, the word for cancer, kanker, literally means complaining. Maybe cancer is a global warning, giving us the message to stop complaining and to be more content with life and to start living more normal with the things that nature offers. We all need to get closer to nature and closer to Kandu, the creator, for when we don't, life will give us messages to wake up and to change things. Cancer became number 2 main cause of death on our planet at that time in history. I started to look at the body as a family of cell children, and me being the parent. All these children are in need of fresh water, live food, proper rest, fresh air, plenty of oxygen, sunshine, cleaning, positive communication, and love. When these basic needs are not being cared for, the cells will start behaving abnormal and giving us the message that things need to be done differently. When our body gets sick, it mostly means that we have not been taking proper care of our cell children, who as a result start behaving abnormal or rebelling. They are rebelling. They have something to tell, and they will spread the news to every part of the body until we start to listen. In regards to cancer being an abnormal behavior of cells, I could see this reflecting in the abnormal foods we eat. Look what is done to all the foods before we even eat them. Pesticides, chemicals, processed through heat, artificial, preserved, and go on. Then the things we read and watch on TV or in the movies, they are completely abnormal. Although when you don't know better, you think this is all normal and okay. Look at the abnormal things we do and find pleasure in. And then on top, all the complaining. It is too obvious that the message of cancer starts knocking at our door. Pilula, Pill City. Number 3 main cause of death on our planet at that time in history was caused by medication. And this I got to experience Pilula, which I gave the name Pill City, which is another replica of your world. Not many people want to take responsibility when they are not feeling well and become addicted to medication. The citizens didn't want to take the time to deal with pain, signs, symptoms, and disease, had others in charge to fix them, and they took pills for everything. They didn't make an investigation what all these drugs have as a side effect, and which is the same how they ate and lived. They forget all about consequences, forgetting that they live in the realm of cause and effect. I saw so many people that just could take instead natural herbs medicine from nature. What you sow, you must reap. What goes around will come around. The medical world and medication has its place in your world as well, and you cannot just say, everybody is doing it. My dad was able to here and there sell his herbs, and we would come back into the near future to do more business. All of you have an individual responsibility. With the increase of awareness during my travels and the ability to decode and scan, my life didn't become easier because I was constantly facing myself. With everything I did, I had to think twice, to not do harm to myself, others, and the planet. And I had to get in the best shape of health possible, to not have any excuses when I would be confronted with any message expressing imbalance. It also made a lot clear to me in regards to healthcare practitioners who assist people when not feeling well. People do not want to take responsibility. They don't want to take the time to look first deeper into themselves, into the matter. Nobody has time, and everybody wants to be fixed up as soon as possible. I was thinking, we are insane. Why do you want to go back to that life? What brought you the pain or disease? The message is to be decoded, and then it is about making changes. In Pilula, medicine and healthcare practitioners were worshipped as gods, like on your planet. Healthcare practitioners, healing assistant methods, and products are not your gods. They are just there to assist your body and mind to go through its self-healing adventure. There are endless ways, and make a study, and always choose the things that are at least the least harmful to your body, and always remember that the healing takes only place when it's meant to be. Keep the power to yourself and do not give it away to the such-called gods in which people make them. Did all of your pains and aches go away by taking medicine or seeing the knife? Of course not. The body has an incredible capacity to heal itself when given the right circumstances. This is the miracle. In most cases, it's known that when your body is alkaline, disease has no chance, as it lives only in an acid environment. This starts with acid, incorrect thoughts, and in addition has a lot to do with your food, which is mostly acid, except for the raw ones. I mean here raw vegetables, fruits, and sprouted grains and seeds and beans. All over the universe, you also see the such-called miracles. Disease is disappearing when individuals go on a fast. Study more about this very natural way of healing. Young children and animals do this naturally. When not well, they just stop eating. The force of health and healing is present in everybody and everything, and when healing is required, it will only take place when it's meant to be. This is the same regarding all healing assisting methods. You do your best, but you never have a guarantee, except when it's meant to be, when it's written in your book of life. Everything I was discovering kept me aware during the nights, as I didn't know what to do with all this information, and my skills, and my gift. Learning to work with my scanning ability. Maybe I had this scanning ability, or I just got better at it by observing more and more. But the time came that I could read people's sicknesses and could see their life in the past while growing up, and their life at home. The fun stuff turned into sadness because all that I saw was pain, physical and emotional pains, and people's trouble. It happened often that when I was in the city that I could scan hundreds of people at the same time, and often felt unconscious, because it was impossible to digest to see all that pain in one glance. After the traveling, I talked with my father and mother about my gift, which had become often a curse. First of all, they made me aware that it was actually not funny at all to give individuals nicknames, because they all had their pains and trouble that came with living their lives while growing up. It was not for me to judge anybody. My gift, or trained ability to see more than others could see, needed to get a positive turn. I learned to switch off my scanning ability and only used it when somebody would ask and allow me to scan him or her. I entered a time where I was more curious to find out why individuals were getting sicker and sicker. It was the time on the planet where many families moved from the land and forest into the cities. Many people were looking to find an easier life other than working in and with nature on the lands and forests. When people live and in with nature, there is a certain harmony and respect. But as soon as too many people live together in an unnatural environment, things turn bad. Laws need to be made because people do not behave. Hygiene goes drastically down as the city is not a natural environment. Just think about the garbage. And in the beginning, there was no running water and no good sewage system. Disease after disease started to show up, and it became even worse when the foods that were grown on the lands were mass-produced, sprayed with pesticides, artificial fertilized, and then manufactured and preserved in the strangest ways. Mankind gave his health in the hands of the moneymakers. The waste bucket. On one of my travels, I ended up in a country where individuals had a visual electric-magnetic force field around their body, which looked like a bucket. And according to the healthy things they did, you could see the bucket from their feet. Unhealthy things they did, you could see the bucket from the feet up filling. When signs, symptoms, and disease start showing up in your life, another way of looking at it is that your waste bucket is full to the brim and starts pouring over. Everybody who is born comes into this life with physical, mental, and emotional waste in her or his bucket. The result of being in the womb, genetic inheritance, or for those who believe in past lives, waste from the past. All this explains also why young children sometimes fall sick at an early stage in their life. How long the symptoms and the disease take to manifest depends a lot on the individual's constitution, how big their waste bucket is, and how much resilience they have towards coping with the accumulated waste. The bucket starts filling up with pollutions of all kinds, with everything from unhealthy foods containing pesticides and chemicals to your not being able to digest what you hear and experience in your immediate environment. Then there are all the negative and poisonous thoughts you are unable to digest while growing up. When the bucket wants to clean itself, you experience vomiting, increased body temperature associated with flu and fevers, and when you try to suppress the symptoms by one means or another, all you're doing is adding even more waste to your systems. Think about all the times in your life you have suppressed the symptoms of the flu, a beautiful natural cleaning process. When the body has collected too much waste, it tries to raise its temperature to burn all the waste products. And each time you stop the process, you miss an incredible opportunity to clean out the waste bucket. There are many messages indicating that the waste bucket is getting fuller by us experiencing little signs, which we normally try to ignore, such as rashes, headaches, allergies, digestive problems, irritation, and many others, slowly developing as well into symptoms of prematuring old age. When the bucket starts overflowing, the symptoms start showing up on your weakest spot, which is after all the best way to force you to pay attention. But usually you fail to realize that your entire body is out of balance and you focus on curing the problem on the weakest spot only. Yes, your body needs you to immediately pay attention to that spot, but just as important, it is the entire bucket that needs to be cleaned on all levels. As you need to make some changes so that the bucket doesn't fill up again, the body constantly gives you messages, but you have no time for them and you do not know how to interpret them. The Sacred Wisdom Map. Then the time entered my life that I myself got confronted with various messages myself, which I was able to decode, but the knowledge to assist was not enough. I was familiar with the medical world, the world of healing assisting herbs and plants and fruits and vegetables, and I knew there should be endless other avenues as well. I realized that any imbalance was not just caused by one thing, but many, and I knew that everything in life is connected and interconnected. And when Janai Summer on her adventures rediscovered the Sacred Wisdom Map, my intuition was confirmed. This map shows how everything in the 7 dimensions of existence is interconnected, and when one thing is out of balance, it reflects itself in all other connections. It sounds scary, but it isn't, because it gives us endless ways instead of 1 or 2 healing assisting ways in order to establish balance again, to have more. When you ever get to study the Sacred Wisdom Map, you will see this for yourself. In addition to my familiar healthcare practitioners and healing assisting paths, I felt empowered to assist myself now through many avenues. I also had to face the fact that several times, even with all my knowledge and approaching the message would not go away. And I had to realize that I cannot have any expectations and that I had to accept things. I had come to this world with my book of life and with a waste bucket, of which I didn't know how full it was. I had to accept my inheritance. I do my best, and oftentimes I realize that I actually didn't know anything, because there was so much more I didn't understood. The positive side of this all was that I learned to go with a more positive mindset through all these hard times. I continued to live in nature, which was a great school to be in, and I learned about the healing assisting properties of the fruits and the vegetables, the water, plants and herbs and scents. I lived for a while with an alchemist, lived with a monk in a monastery, and traveled more around on my planet, which I saw rapidly changing as governments and corporations started to really mess around with nature. Forests were cut, lands were tired of producing, and every natural resource was being plundered, and with the erecting of more and more modern cities and building of factories, an enormous pollution started to affect our mother planet. The signs and messages that nature was given was so clear to me. Floods, earthquakes and other natural disasters were just warning the inhabitants of our planet that things needed to be changed. Later in my life, I became one of the faculty members of the Magical University of Life at the Sacred Archives. I had many talks with Scale, the guiding force of balance, and hearing that it was nature's duty to restore any balance which was mostly caused by mankind. The change that individuals needed to make didn't come in time, and our planet had to face one natural disaster after another, and 2/3 of our population vanished from our planet. Understanding what was coming, I had gone with my parents to live deep in the jungle, and it was during that time I discovered a part in the jungle which had not been discovered yet by any one of us on our planet. Many animals we thought that had extinct were still living there, in harmony with each other. Living amongst these animals, it happened that Fondor, a giant eagle, chose me and became my new transportation. Fondor didn't only fly me around on the planet, but he could fly into and through the shadow world. By means of this, I was also able to visit any planet in any galaxy in the universe. It was as well during that time that I met Niyama, the guiding force of maturity and nature on her planet. I studied with her, and often together we visit the other side of the known universe, where a planet exists where money doesn't exist, but where you need life credits to pay with. To earn your life credits, you must do good deeds. And also the health system is set up in this way, as the healthcare system only gets rewarded with life credits by keeping individuals healthy and aware, and not like on our planet or on Earth, where the healthcare system gets paid only when people are sick. During the years, I also got very interested in symbols and their obvious and hidden messages. In addition, I love affirmation that assists to make the mind and the world a better place. On an expedition in a distant universe, I discovered in an underwater ancient city a secret museum. There I looked at an extraordinary gallery with 32 symbols and found out that they represented the guiding forces of Creator, universe and nature. They must have been there underwater and undiscovered for ages. The material on which the symbols were painted was of a special material that had aged only in color and looked mysterious. As I took them out of the water, one by one they showed signs of rejuvenation, as life came back to them through me touching them. Some grayish and others brownish became orangey and illuminated. Later in time, I donated them to the Sacred Archives, and with the help of specialists we were able to preserve them in additional ways. The affirmations came together talking with my fellow faculty members at the university, the members of the Sacred Council. The entire collection is now called the Gallery of Symbols and displayed at the Sacred Archives together with the Sacred Wisdom Map. My sanctuaries. Suddenly I was regarded important as I was able to assist those who survived on my planet, and I opened my first sanctuary where everybody was welcome to learn the language of decoding symbolic messages. On Fondor, my giant eagle, I started to travel as the decoder or travel agent to health and healing, and I was able to build self-healing assisting sanctuaries in many places in the universe, and each one of them, the Sacred Wisdom map, had a central place in order for the visitor to see all the connections between all things, and which had become a very important part of anybody studying. At one point in time, a great additional help came into my life and contributing to health and healing from a complete other angle. Moriah Morrow, the messenger of love, started to open free hospitals, clinics, and homes for the poor and elderly all over the universe. Only he could pull off something on this scale, as everybody following out of devotion gave their donation and their service for free. I have seen the love and devotion for Kandu in action under his wing, and there are no words that can describe this service and atmosphere. To feed everybody for free, he inspired landowners to let a part of its being cultivated by the poor and teaching them about farming. There was so much for everybody, and I can tell you that the food cultivated and prepared by his disciples tasted better than any food you can get, as it is injected with love and devotion. So, at the moment, I have two main homes: my sanctuary on my planet and at the Sacred Archives. How I can help you in your life. Quote, I think there is an invisible principle of living too. If we believe we are guided through every step of our lives, we are. It is a lovely sight watching it work. Richard Bach. End of quote. Everything around us, everything that happens, every detail of our body, everything we think about, say and do, all the struggles we have to face, all the signs, symptoms and diseases actually constitute a roadmap filled with deep hidden symbolic messages, designed to help guide us towards achieving our magical and mystical life adventure. I am Toro, the Decoder, here to remind you of these facts and assists in the decoding of endless messages from a symbolic point of view, and guide you in matters of self-healing and health. In general, most trouble and challenges you are facing are in your eyes caused by others and external circumstances. By pointing outwards, you do not realize that you make yourself into victims or victims of circumstances. And it doesn't matter what the confrontation is, but as long as you point outwards, you are disempowered. As long as you think that the things bothering you should be taken away, or you trying to run away from them, you fool yourself, as you haven't learned anything from that situation. But you would disagree and say, look, it is so obvious that something or somebody is doing something to me. Have you questioned? Why is it happening to me? And why do I attract this to myself? Very few people seem to make the time for a deeper investigation, dare to look deeper and look for the real cause by themselves. Maybe this is trying to tell me something. Maybe there is a message here. Maybe I am part of this all. Maybe I could do something, and maybe there are many ways to address and change my dilemma. In general, nobody accepts the confrontation, does not take responsibility, does not look deeper into the matter, and mostly other people are put in charge to take care of the imbalance. Everybody becomes only codependent. In many less severe confrontations, individuals just stay complaining and find endless escapes to avoid the confrontation, filling life and filling time up with work, food, medication, drugs, alcohol, and endless other things, and suppress the trouble until it becomes a desperate situation. I provide you with a method that brings everything back to yourself, gives you back your power, assists in translating the messages, and in addition, I show you that your dilemma reflects in all aspects of your life, and give you a different perspective and provide you with endless ways to address your situation. Everything happens for a reason and has a purpose, mostly not apparent from our level of consciousness, or even when there are no other benefits, obvious benefits in the realm of body and mind and matter. It is definitely for the evolvement of our soul. I believe that no matter how difficult the situations are in life, that there are endless ways you can help yourself. I am here to help you, learning to help yourself, and possibly you will be able to help others and the world. When a message of imbalance shows up, 1. Accept the message. Try to decode the message with my help. Make an investigation what you all could do. Make a plan and start the healing adventure. Do not see what is happening as something separate in your life, but integrate it and see it as an adventure. Have no expectations, just do your best, otherwise you could still become a victim. During your adventure in Crystallia the Creation, you most likely will experience some imbalances expressing themselves through signs, symptoms and disease. In order to go through these times in a positive manner, you need to guide your mind. Any signal your body sends out when out of balance in the form of discomfort, signs, symptoms and disease pattern is a beautiful phenomenon. When you see these signals or messages as wake-up calls, reminders to assist your body, you can change these times into a positive part of your adventure. Take the time and rest, and do not rush to get back to the life which caused the trouble and confrontation. It is a time for reflection and setting your priorities right, and many other great things. Experiencing imbalances is part of your life adventure, and this time can be seen as an adventure, a self-healing adventure. In order to change your conditionings when imbalances show up in your life, as to not accepting them, complaining, playing victim, getting angry, impatient, not wanting to deal with them, and putting the responsibility to fix you in the hands of others, and not seeing them as an adventure, you need to recondition your mind. Decoding and translating. Learn to decode or translate messages is like discovering or learning a new language. This language will let you know to look at life differently, and everything that happens in a different way. Let me give you various examples and maybe you get an idea. Symbolic meaning of body parts. Each part of your body and each organ and system has in addition a symbolic purpose. The symbolic meaning of the face is how we face life. So, face life with courage and with a smile on your face. Do not hide behind your hair. Face what you need to face, and know that the face of the future will come by itself. The symbolic meaning of ears is to what we listen to. Keep your ears open, do not close them off, and realize that anything you hear is not the truth but a truth, and that everything is just an opinion. Watch out for talking too much in your own head or talking with yourself too much. You get fed up by listening to yourself, just as it is not easy to listening to people arguing. Learn to forgive them, for all of us are like robots repeating what we have learned or where we were exposed to. The symbolic meaning of the throat is how we swallow and voice ourselves. Often children are told to shut up, and this may be appropriate at some times when you speak nonsense, scream or argue, but learn to speak up for yourself in a correct manner. To speak up for yourself is first asking if you can speak. When you speak, it is not to point or hurt anybody, and you cannot have an expectation, otherwise you end up in an argument or become frustrated. In general, speak less and listen more to people that have things to contribute to your life. The symbolic meaning of the eyes is how we look at life. Your vision gets foggy and blurry when you have to look at things close to you, often expressing that there is too much going on, inside and outside of you. Your vision gets unclear to look in the distance when you have some fear related to going forwards into the future. The symbolic meaning of the hands is how we handle life. Maybe you're trying to handle too much at the same time, or do not know yet how to handle things. The symbolic meaning of the lungs is how we in and exhale our experiences. Your discrimination to certain experiences can cause you to hold on to your breath by holding on to things inside and you not exhaling them. Inhale it all and exhale it all. The symbolic meaning of the stomach is how we digest life. When situations get too complicated, or you connecting them to fear, you could end up feeling a fist in your stomach. When you overload your digestive system with too much food or unhealthy foods, know that it becomes very hard to digest. And this is as well by going too fast through life. How can you digest things when it goes too fast, when things get too much and too complicated? The symbolic meaning of the skin is how we feel in our own skin. Do feel okay with who you are, what you are, and where you are. Maybe it's time to shed some old skin, your ways of thinking, eating, and behaving. The symbolic meaning of the spine. The symbolic meaning of the spine is your physical foundation, and through your spine you are able to stand upright, to turn and bend with your life. The symbolic meaning of the legs is how we stand and walk in life. Do you stand strong in your life? And do you like to walk in your adventure with joy? The symbolic meaning of the rectum is how we eliminate and let go of the old. Do you easily let go of the things, or are you trying to control things, people and situations? Experience and do not hold onto your habits, things and others, or you might get constipated in one way or another. Not I have, but I am. To stay in power, for when you don't, you become a victim. Express any message of imbalance not with I have, but with I am. And this also helps you to decode and translate better. When you get a pain in your neck, do not say I have a pain in my neck, but say I am a pain in the neck. Ask yourself, why am I a pain in the neck? Which could mean that you make things difficult for yourself and others. When you have an earache, do not say I have an earache, but I am an ache to my ear. And ask yourself, what is it what you do not want to hear? When you have a stomachache, do not say I have a stomachache, but say I'm hurting my stomach. And ask yourself if the things you ate and did are too much to digest. When you have a skin rash or your skin shows other breakout signs, do not say, I have a skin rash or breakout, but ask yourself, why and how are you trying to break out or away from? Maybe from somebody, a situation or something you don't like, or maybe the body has gathered too much things that shouldn't be in your body in the first place. Maybe you're eating too much junk food and the body wants to tell you that it's time to clean up. You get the flu. Do not say I have the flu, but say I am the flu. Your body temperature raises and the heat wants to help you to burn up the waste. Accidents. Accidents to the extent that you or something breaks are in general a message that you didn't took the break before something had to break. When you hurt yourself somewhere in the front of your body, it is possibly that you are going too fast into the future and doing things too fast. When it's on the back, it has mostly to do with stuff that follows us from the past, possibly things we didn't dealt with properly and stuff we left behind. Nature gives these messages as well through natural disasters and is mostly the result of what humans do to nature. Body shapes and forms. Keep an eye on yourself if you are putting on weight. In regards to unhealthy foods, I would recommend you to become the hero and to become stronger than these habits, which are your master for the moment. Just think, when you would have $1 million racehorse, wouldn't you give it the best food? You are worth to be taken care of as well in the same matter. Your chest is in and your hunch. Hold yourself upright, for you do not get enough oxygen into and from your lungs in this position, which has the effect of losing concentration and you feeling lazy and sleepy. Realize that when you hunch and keep hunching that you train your body to become this way for the rest of your life. When you're losing your buttocks, when you have the feeling that your pants are falling off, realize that your pelvis is slowly tilting forward, which is not a good thing. Your immune system will go down and you are vulnerable for sickness and your body becomes stiff. Show your butt, which means to show courage and take life on, like a strong warrior. You are walking with 1 or 2 feet pointing outwards. It is an indication that you are scattered and you are not walking straight in life's adventure. In the long run, you will have to face possibly trouble with your feet or knees. Teach yourself to walk straight. Heel, outside of the foot, ball of the feet, big toe. You are hanging in a chair and sludging down. Your tummy is hanging out, your chest is caved in, and your head sticks out forward. Not a healthy and vibrant sight. Fold the towel, place it halfway underneath your buttocks, and sit upright. You walk and stand with your hand knuckles pointed forward. Know that at one point in time in your life that this will have rounded your shoulders. Stand and walk with your palms of your hands next to your legs, thumb and index pointed forward. Attitude. Know that you can show a negative and disturbing attitude even without saying anything. These are strong messages. You can have a negative or provoking attitude by always responding with no, or saying whatever, or I don't care. You can show a negative attitude by pointing the index finger, turning your eyes up, rolling them, or turning your head away when somebody speaks to you. You can fold your arms, cross your legs, and hunch, expressing that nobody can get to you. You are closing yourself off. Your negative attitude towards life and others will only get you in trouble, and someone who is constantly in trouble as a result of negative attitude is a loser. Your cell children. Visualize diseased body parts as a group of cell children. Although you are too young to have children, see the cells of your body as your first children and learn to take care of your family members. That is a great way to start practicing for later. When your children start rebelling and screaming from pain, you can look at your cell children who have been denied attention and have been abused and are cut off from their healthy family. When they realize that nobody cares, they will be looking for ways to get your attention. They will, in one way or another, take over your life. When your children need to tell you something important, do you send them somewhere else to talk to them? Better not, otherwise you are missing what they want to tell you. The cells are crying for attention, insisting that something needs to change. Accept your cell children even when they are sick. Love them, care for them, and assist them in any way possible. No matter how you look at all the messages, they are just indications that a balance or new balance is needed. By understanding more about the symbolic meaning of the body, mind, and disease, which is, in addition to anatomy, physiology, medical science, and holistic medicine, an additional tool to assist yourself and others when the body and mind is seeking balance. Keep the waste bucket clean. You all do not know how full your bucket of waste is. And you know when the bucket is full, it starts to overflow and giving you painful situations. So stop filling the bucket with unhealthy foods, drinks, thoughts, words and deeds, and assist in the cleaning of the bucket, which you can do through fasting, which means laying off of certain habits and foods and unhealthy patterns. Watch out for complaining. Be careful in regards to complaining. It becomes so fast second nature to complain about your life, how seemingly the world and others are treating you. Watch out for complaining that you have not enough toys or the latest gadgets, that you're not allowed to do what you want, playing games or being on the TV or computer. Complaining is a disease, and you do not want to be confronted with the messages that come forth from this way of thinking, talking and behaving. When you want to learn more about the symbolic meaning of every body detail, translating body forms and shapes, decoding disease and their hidden messages, wake-up calls, how to create and how to deal with disease. Come and visit me at my home planet, or the Magical University of Life at the Sacred Archives, when I am one of the 32 faculty members. Guiding messages. Everything around us, every detail in creation, what we see, hear, smell, taste and touch, the things that happen, every detail of our body, what we think, say and do, the challenges and struggles we have to face, accidents in every sign and symptom and disease is actually a roadmap with meaningful symbolic messages in disguise, wake-up calls and cries from our body, mind and soul, all trying to guide us in our life adventure and to go beyond.